And look at that. Oh, big yawn for us. Oh, lovely. Look at his face. Can you believe that big gaping hole that was once there is now healed up to just a small little gash? And it's hardly leaving a real scar. That's incredible. Now he's waking up. I wonder if his next move isn't going to be perhaps around to where the carcass is. And of course, don't we just love it when they scratch themselves and they find the right spot? Look at that beautiful teeth. You can see he's still a young boy. But you'll see, if we get to see Tinyo wherever he may be, wherever he has gone, his mane is gone very dark and very black. Another big yawn for us. And look at those, did you see all those little sort of barbs that they have on their tongue? That was incredible. Nice shot, David. It's always nice to see how sort of dense they are and how large they really are, because we see them obviously licking and removing the hair from their prey. Well, it's got to be almost like sandpaper to be able to do something like that. Yeah, he's got the spot again. Now you've had your siesta. I think it's time you go over and say hello to the ladies, because they haven't seen each other for quite some time. And I suspect what happened is that as the Amber Eyes was taking down that buffalo, these boys must have heard that buffalo distressing, and they came marching over to see what all that ruckus was about. But they've kept their distance. The lionesses have showed a little bit of animosity towards them, so they're treading carefully. So it'll be interesting to see what their reaction is. They don't look particularly thin, even just from here. He looks as though he's got a bit of a belly. So it's good to know. And perhaps that they have been feasting. There he goes. He looks like he's making his move now. What I will do though is when he comes past us, I'm just going to change the angle of the vehicle just so that we can watch him as he walks towards the lionesses. But isn't he looking strong? They really look like they're developing nice muscle around their shoulders now. He's just marking his territory. Let's try and get a better spot. We're going to try and sneak in this gap. There's some other vehicles that have arrived. Now, I suspect that we won't be able to stay here for too long. Probably only another, maybe we can push it to about 10 minutes. But that's fine. We'll let everybody else come through and we'll come back. I'm just going to go forward here. Hi, big boy. The reason being is because we want to get a good view as he approaches these two lionesses, which intentionally moved out and laid in the spot when they saw him approaching earlier. Now let's see what happens. Oh, that little cub is very excited. We know how much they love the Birminghams, and I'm always impressed by the behavior of the Birminghams with the cubs. They're very, very tolerant of them. But you see, being submissive, you see that ducking its head, coming in low, which is very clever of the cub. But be careful. Oh, there we go. They're actually lovely boys in the sense that they seem to be very good fathers, which is not common with the male lions. There he goes. He's marking his territory as they haven't been around here for a couple of days. Just making their presence known again. Look at those little cubs looking up to their dad, so proud. And of course now we want to play with you. Now, as we sit here and we see that these lionesses are watching him carefully. Star, you were wondering, why don't the lionesses want this male lion to eat? So that's not really the case with what's going on over here. Is often when the male lions come through, because of their size, they charge through and they will take over and try and dominate on a kill, which is obviously not great because most of the time it's the lionesses that are doing the hunting. Of course, the boys help out, but these boys haven't been around, so they had nothing to do with bringing down of this buffalo. And it seems as though this male is sort of respecting that. He's been edging closer, just moving slightly, sort of just trying to gain the trust again of the lionesses. We've seen, and over the past, I think it was about the past 2 or 3 weeks, we saw a bit of disputes happening between the lionesses and the 2 Birmingham boys, and then again between Tinyo and Mfumo, as they were mating with the youngest lioness and Amber Eyes. But Mfumo seems to be, if I can say this, the nicer of the 2 boys. His attitude seems to be a lot more calm, a lot more relaxed. He tries quite hard with the Nkuhuma females. I have to agree with you, Liz. Liz says that she thinks that the females tolerate Mr. Mfumo more over the other Birminghams, and I do, and I think it's because he puts effort in. And we don't normally see this with the females, but he makes a concerted effort to go up. He greets them. He doesn't just come charging in and race over to the kill and start feasting. Look at the respect that he's showing these lionesses. You saw the distance that he was at. Remember, we got here earlier today, and when they came over, they stopped probably about 5 or 6 times from 100 meters and started itching their way forward. And then he laid in the distance and waited. And now he's approached even closer. And, sorry, I'm just looking behind me quickly. And now he's sitting there waiting as well. And it'll be nice to see if he does get up and perhaps go over to those lions and nudge heads with them. And even just his behavior with the cubs. We see Mr. Tinyo, he's not too bad either, but he does get a bit grouchy and grumpy sometimes. Where Mfumo doesn't mind if the cubs jump on his head and on his back and bite his tail. I can tell you from